So, Mr. Speaker, if you were to estimate what is the path forward for the Democrat Party, I want not what they should do, but what do you think they will do? Will they really exorcise the demons of their woke past? Or are they married to these radical elements permanently?
Well, permanently is a long time, but they're certainly going to be wedded to them for the next 10 or 15 years. And they're going to focus on the idea that it was all Biden's fault and Kamala's fault, but that the basic ideas are right. I mean, you already have people like us, the leading socialist in the Senate, Bernie Sanders, saying, the Democrats abandoned the working class and therefore the working class abandoned them. So he would argue socialism now would be the right battle cry. I'm sure AOC feels the same way. And I think that because Kamala was such a total vacuum of ideas and was so clearly incompetent, and because Biden had become cognitively impossible to defend, they can keep it all up at a personality level. What they'll say is, our ideas weren't defeated, we just had really bad candidates, which frankly, from our standpoint as conservatives is good, because it means that the vacuum will grow and that people will increasingly leave the Democratic Party.
Yeah, and it's just, so if you were to say, how do we expand and build on this for the 3.0 contract with America legislatively? If you were to give advice to Speaker Johnson, if I may, I'm actually going to tell you what I told Speaker Johnson this morning, and I'd love your comments, Mr. Speaker. Again, who am I to give advice? I'm talking to, the greatest speaker of a generation here. I said, start with a very clean and simple border bill, H.R. 1, something that can get everyone to agree on it and get it signed in the first 30 days, nothing too big. Do you agree with that, Mr. Speaker? Getting a win, getting a victory on the low-hanging fruit, especially with a slim majority.
Well, no, I think that's exactly right. And I would say you want to build a very strong communications component, because what we found, we run a project called the America's New Majority Project, which people can see at americasnewmajorityproject.com. And starting in 2018, we have been doing polls and focus groups looking for 60 and 70 and 80% issues. I knew 2 years ago that we had an opening with the Latino community that none of the traditional Republican professionals understood. I knew that those had a big opportunity with Asian Americans, which began to pay off in this election. And we were constantly looking for issues where we thought that people would simply be repulsed by the Democrats. For example, over 80% of the country believes that parents have the right to know what's happening to their children in school. Well, of course, the teachers union hates that. The hard left hates that. And when you get into that kind of a fight, lots of young people actually agree that parents ought to know what's going on in the classroom. So it didn't shock me that Trump began to really build momentum with Latinos, with African-American males, with Asian Americans, and with people under 25. Remember, they're the folks who are faced with the reality they can't afford to buy a house right now because of Joe Biden. They can't afford to fill up their tank with gasoline because of Joe Biden. They're worried about their neighborhood having a Venezuelan gang because of Joe Biden. So they're looking around thinking, in the real world, I don't think I can afford to be a Democrat.
Mr. Speaker, very quickly, what lessons can we learn from unified government in 2017 when we had Paul Ryan, McConnell, Trump, and it didn't necessarily go great those first 6 months? What lessons can we learn from that?
I will mentioned some of that,
but please.
No, I'm going to tell you bluntly because I was there. I went to see Trump early, and I said, having been Speaker of the House and having balanced the budget for 4 straight years, and having gotten reelected for the first time since 1928, I said, open with an infrastructure bill because you will have half the Democrats support you.
I totally agree.
Very bipartisan. Yep. And McConnell and Ryan, who did not have a clue, went in and said, oh no, let's open by repealing Obamacare. Well, first of all, in the end, they didn't have the votes. And second, it guaranteed total partisanship. And I don't blame Trump. I mean, Trump was a brand new president. He had never been in charge before. You have the majority leader in the Senate. You have the Speaker of the House. What are you going to do? But it was totally wrong. And I blame McConnell and Ryan for it. And I think it was a huge mistake.
Great analysis, Mr. Speaker. I completely agree. And let's not repeat those mistakes. And I think God gave us a 4-year intermission to be able to reload, reconsider, and fix and save the country. Mr. Speaker, thank you so much.